Hey guys, be sure to check out the Mortar Pod, our weekly video podcast, and also check out the tutorial video for my board game, Travelers of Storia. Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. We're doing another M15 Swiss draft. Got Hornet Nest, and this card's good. It's most likely worthy of a first pick. What else have we got in here that's pretty good? You know how I love the Frenzied Goblin. Great card. Wayfinder. Welcome Turn. Servant. Nothing else in here super crazy, to be honest. If there was some crazy removal spell, I'd probably at least consider it over the Hornet Nest. But yeah, I'd say Hornet Nest. Why not, right? Pretty good blocker. Holds down the fort nicely. I guess I should mention it pairs really well with both Court of Calling at rare, but Hunt the Week at common. I think Hunt the Week's common. Well, maybe if it's uncommon. Either way, very good with Hornet Nest. All right, Broodkeeper is a good strategy to try and latch on to early. I don't have any problems there. 2 green picks that are remaining in here aren't anything special. I think somebody commented about a few people have commented on their opinions on Undergrowth Scavenger. Some people just have these like visions of grandeur of how good it is. And some people think it's the worst card ever. I think the right answer is probably somewhere in the middle. If you're in the right deck for it, it's certainly good. Otherwise, can definitely be bad as well. All right. Broodkeeper, I think, is a good card to pick up here and try and get a strategy going with. I've gotten a chance to play the deck once, and I've played against it plenty of times. It's a very, very strong strategy. One of which I like quite a bit. Alright, Broodkeeper. Let's try that out. Okay, next, well, I would say Gargoyle Sentinel actually goes reasonably well with the Broodkeeper, since if you're on Broodkeeper plan, you don't need to be super aggressive. You just win through value. Gargoyle Sentinel is very good at getting you to the mid to late game. Seems like a reasonable pickup here. Endless Obedience is okay. Blastfire Bolt is okay. And Crust. A lot of okay cards in this pack, but I like the Gargoyle Sentinel. It's a good card. I mean, any deck I play, I'm probably going to be jamming it, so I don't see why I shouldn't take it here. Nimbus of the Isles, it's alright. Flies, whatever. Let's take the 3-drop artifact dude that blocks all of the intimidators and then flies and wins you the game later. Yeah, I think Gargoyle Sentinel is just a great card in general. Okay, so now there's Scrapyard Mongrel, which certainly goes well with the Sentinel. There's also Meteorite, which is kind of removal. Generator Servant gets you to your 5-drops. Swift Claw's not bad. If you make the Broodkeeper deck work, you definitely want to be in white. I mean, you don't have to be, but it's nice. But that being said, I probably wouldn't take the Swiftclaw over the Generator Servant since I already have the Broodkeeper. Or the Mongrel. I mean, it's early enough I mean, 5/3 Trample is nothing to scoff at. I don't think, I was going to say, going for Mongrel and going for Broodkeeper in the same deck doesn't always pan out as nicely as you want, but I'm going to take the Generator Servant. I think Scrapyard Mongrel is probably a stronger potential card, but Generator Servant, I don't know. Red Ramp to me, something about it. I like it a lot. Here, I think we can take the Hammerhand. Not really passing too much else. Another Nimbus of the Isles is fine. Leeching Sliver. I've had it played against me. I don't think it's that great. Rotfeaster Maggot's a lot better than I gave it credit for at the beginning of these M15 drafts, so something to keep in mind. But yeah, we can take Hammerhand. I mean, it goes so well with Broodkeeper. I don't see why not. Okay, so now there's Geist of the Moors, which is a very good white card, although it dies to Forge Devil. Another Hammerhand. Torch Fiend. That's a pretty late Geist of the Moors. That might be the sign we need that Let this, the whites open at least. I like the Torch Fiend too. Definitely like Typhoid Rats as well. I don't necessarily want to take a second Hammer Hand here. If I only end up with one Brood Keeper, going on the Hammer Hand plan's not necessarily going to work for me. I'm going to take a Geist of the Moors. I mean, it's better than Torch Fiend, so if white works out, that would be nice. Okay. Marked by Honor, certainly good with Broodkeeper. Child of Night and Shadowcloak Vamp are pretty awesome in black. Maybe black-red aggro is the route I'm supposed to be going. Could be. I guess the one issue with Broodkeeper, if you don't see more than one, that's not good in the whole draft, you know. I guess I'll take the Marked by Honor. These are two pretty decent late black cards. That's a pretty good late green card. Alright, another Hammer Hand, but I'm kind of feeling the Bloodseeker. I like Rummaging Goblin too, but I just think I like the Bloodseeker more. Currently don't have much removal to support its awesome ability, but that's alright. I'll take the Bloodseeker. It's a fine 2-drop. Alright, tabling a Frenzied Goblin's a pretty good sign. Ephemeral Shields and Rough Rider in here as well, but Frenzied Goblin all day. Okay, so now I'm kind of in a weird place, I guess. Not necessarily white, not necessarily green. Definitely red. Well, I guess Thundering Giant it is. It's a late Fester Gloom. Thundering Giant's playable. Admittedly not great. I don't know. Maybe we're doing some red aggressive thing if Broodkeeper plan doesn't pan out. The nice thing about Hammer Hand is it's excellent in the Broodkeeper deck, but it's still excellent in an aggressive red plan, so. Alright, Blastfire Bolt, I'll take it. It's playable. Pretty interesting pack 1. I will say I like the Gargoyle Sentinel a lot less in aggressive red. In a Broodkeeper, you know, red-white sort of mid-range thing, I love it, but in aggressive red, I'm not a big fan. It's a little bit too mana intensive. I don't really care about either of these, I guess. Act on Impulse, I don't see a chance to ever really play that for value. But then again, Clear a Path, same sort of thing. Alright, second to last Hammer Hand, that's nice. So I guess we could have tabled the first one too. Alright, so I want to be aggressive. Double Hammer Hand, Frenzied Goblin, solid 2-drops. Broodkeeper still works in aggressive red, so, oh jeez. When you cast this, reveal the top X cards of your library, put a non-land permanent card among them. Basically, cast a bunch of spells and get a big dude. That is pretty good. Otherwise, what? Is there really anything else? Paragon. See, my issue with taking the Genesis Hydra, because, I mean, it's obviously a fantastic card. My one issue is doesn't really go hand in hand with the rest of what we're trying to do, but it's just such a bonkers card. I guess we probably just take it. Otherwise, I take Paragon, and I try maybe even try mono red. But I mean, there's a lot of upside to Genesis Hydra. We were getting cut on green really hard, though. Like, I have to keep that in mind. You know? You can't just take Genesis Hydra and be like, okay, I'll play 2 green cards and make that worth my while. I mean, Genesis Hydra is undoubtedly super strong, but I don't know. I guess I'll take it. I almost wanted the red Paragon, to be honest, but that's alright. Obelisk of Erd. Do I have some consistency amongst my creature types? Human, Elemental, Plant Hydra, another human, Insect, Spirit. No, I'm all over the place. Living Totem's a good card. I guess there's not any really good red in here. Covenant of Blood, obviously a good card, but alright, let's take the Living Totem. Start going a little more dedicated red-green. I know you guys see me do this a lot, but what can I say? Genesis Hydra moved me into it. Okay, Wayfinder finds us lands, which is okay. Restock helps us get dudes back. I do like that. That's a strong effect. Shrapnel Blast, only have one dude that works with it, so it's not super playable. Swiftclaw in white, but I guess at this point, with the double green rare, I'd probably rather be in green. Let's take the, well, Wayfinder's a cheap creature. Finds me mana, buys me time. Restock gets me things back. Restock works well alongside the Wayfinder. Doesn't work well with the Hydra. I mean, works well bringing it back, but can't cast it off the Hydra at the low cost of 7 mana. I guess I take the Wayfinder. It's a cheap dude that blocks and finds you land. Enforcer is evasive. Foundry Street is cheap. Crowd's Favor is a nice trick. Enforcer is a bit color intensive. Crowd's Favor is a nice trick. 10 creatures currently. I'm going to take the Crowd's Favor. I like Enforcer a lot. I really do like that card, but Crowd's Favor is such a good free combat trick. Alright, Reclamation Sage, Enforcer, and Wayfinder in here. I'm actually going to go Reclamation Sage. There's a ton of good playable artifacts and enchantments in this format, and I just really like this card. I think it's much more powerful than I initially gave it credit for. And just playing the format more, you just see, you know, Gargoyle Sentinels, Willforged Golems, equipment, all sorts of different auras marked by honors, you know, divine favors, just all sorts of value to be reaped. Even gets rid of that spirit bond, so there's like random rare that it gets rid of too. I just like it. Big fan. Alright, well, that's a late Flesh to Dust. It's kind of surprising. Primodox is fine. It works. We currently have both Totem and Reclamation Sage and Genesis Hydra, I guess, too, so got some pretty cool synergies with it. Seems very good in here. I'm on board with that. Okay, well, I mean, Scavenger, got a Wayfinder. That's about it. But if we pick up more cheap creatures, Scavenger is definitely playable. So if I end up with tons of 1 and 2 drop creatures, I'll consider Scavenger, just because I'll probably be trading a lot early, and then he's fine. Alright, Torch Fiend it is. Seems pretty easy. Not much else. Not anything else, really. Okay, Foundry Street. Also Hot Soup and Ranger's Guile in here, which I could consider. Hot Soup is actually legitimately a pretty cool card to have at least out of sideboard. I like it, but this may just be a Foundry Street deck, as much as I loathe to admit it. Actually, I don't know. It's so awkward playing Hornet Nest alongside cards like Foundry Street. I'm going to take the Hot Soup, actually. I like having one for sideboard. It's even main deckable. Guess Lava Axe, but once again, just awkward alongside stuff like Hornet Nest. Like at this point, we're not even really super aggressive. I feel like we're more, I don't know what we are. We're a weird amalgamation of decks right now, which is never good. I've lost a Shadow Cloak too much to not take it here. We got a Hot Soup anyway. Alright, well, I guess we have 2 now. Alright, Assistant. So, I guess black was kind of open. Kind of like I suspected, but we do have some good green picks, legitimately. Hornet Nest and Genesis Hydra are pretty awesome. I'd like to pick up a second Brood Keeper so I can go a little more hog wild on auras, but that's alright. I think we go for the more mid-range plan at this point. We just sort of settle for that. Admittedly, this deck's not super good looking right now. despite having a Genesis Hydra and a Hornet Nest. It just looks a bit muddled. It looks very confused. It looks like it doesn't even know what it wants to do. So we're going to have to do some cleanup work here in pack 3. Ideally, we get a second Broodkeeper, and then I'm perfectly fine with this deck. Then we'll at least be able to pick up late Vine Wefts, ideally, or another Hammerhand or two to really make the Broodkeeper shine. But if we can't pick up a second Broodkeeper, I guess I'm just looking for good mid-range stuff then at this point. I think I would get off the aggressive plan and get much more into the mid-range survive plan, but admittedly it's going to be mediocre if we see, just based on this, it's going to be mediocre. So we're going to need some real removal or Curd Chieftains or stuff like that, Siege Worms, stuff to really make this deck pop a little bit more than it is right now. I do actually really like Generator Servant with Genesis Hydra though. That is cool. I like that. Johnny, jeez. On the same pack as Lightning Strike, but Johnny, what's he worth? I don't even know how to check these days. I'm just going to take him. Assume he's worth something. Otherwise, it'd be a Snap Lightning Strike, but he's a Planeswalker. I'm sure he's worth a few ticks. So let's take him. Maybe we'll splash for him if we see an Evolving Wilds. I'd probably be okay with that at this point. This deck needs something. He can buff my team, so it's actually pretty good. Alright. Yeah, I passed the Lightning Strike, I know. It sucks. But we got a Johnny. I'm pretty sure I'm out of the Lava Axe plan at the very least. Probably doing Blast Firebolt, though. Let's see. Shaman of Spring, another 4 drops, not super attractive. Torch Fiend is cheap, but I guess I'd rather play Shaman of Spring than Scavenger. And I tabled Torch Fiend last time, so maybe we'll get lucky again. Second Crowd's Favor seems like the right choice. Could take another Torch Fiend, but I like the Crowd's Favor. It's a good trick. We have a decent creature count right now, so I'll take it. Alright, Borderland Marauder. Evolving Wilds, well, Splash of Johnny? I don't see why not. I could see him being good. We'll try him out. This deck's a hot mess anyway at this point, so I don't really care. I could take the Borderland Marauder, but honestly, it doesn't even fit in with what our deck's trying to do. Our deck is so mid-range right now. Like, I don't really see the purpose of grabbing a 1-2 that, you know. I mean, yeah, you get it on turn 2 and your opponent doesn't do anything, and you bash in a bunch, but otherwise, yeah, it is a cheap creature to trade early for Undergrowth Scavenger, but screw it. I'm going to take Evolving Wilds. I'm going to splash for Johnny Steadfast. I bet people want to watch that anyway. It sounds more entertaining. Vine Weft, if I was sure I could get a second Broodkeeper, but I am not. Also Verdenhaven. Yeah, let's take that. That's another easy way to make the Steadfast work, but don't even really have anything to ramp into, which kind of sucks. Alright, Willforged Golem works everywhere, but I guess we kind of need the Inferno Fist a little bit more, since it's Inferno Fist. What do you want me to say? It is Inferno Fist. Alright, get rewarded. Willforged Golem. Also, Charging Rhino might actually be a better pick, probably. Easier to get off of Genesis Hydra and can only be blocked by 1 creature. The advantage of Willforged Golem, though, can potentially come down early if you've got a quick start, and it blocks Intimidators. So they both have their pros and cons. I'm going to go with the Charging Rhino because we're in green, so it's fine with me. As much as I loathe to say it, I think we're taking Miner's Bane, possibly playing it. I feel like I've got cards in here that are weaker than it. I don't think it's a scavenger deck. I don't have enough early support for it. Could take the Carnivorous Moss Beast. Get another fatty. I guess it rewards us for playing the ramp, so otherwise I'm hating a Swiftclaw or a Shadowcloak Vamp, but I don't really like that. I don't think it's a Broodkeeper deck anymore either, so I'm going to take the Moss Beast. And I think at this point we're just going to be hiding the Hammerhands and probably the Broodkeeper too at this point. I don't think we're on board with him anymore. So yeah, we're much more of the mid-range. We've got some fatties to get into. I wish they were a little bit bombier, but that's alright. We'll settle for what we got. Torch Fiend seems legitimate. Artifacts don't have anything on us. Double Torch Fiend Reclamation Sage is pretty crazy. I don't think we need another Moss Beast, so I guess we can hate an assistant. And, I don't know. Hate another one, I guess. Take the Wall of Fire for sideboard, since we're a slowish deck anyway. Alright, so we're pretty underwhelming red-green deck. We didn't end up getting any Kurd Chieftains. So our plan is to ramp and then play a big fat Genesis Hydra and get a bunch of fatties out, or ramp into some of these fatties. Or fix for our Ajani Steadfast. So that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of our deck. Get some value off Primodox. We've got Shaman, Totem, Reclamation, Wayfinder to a certain extent, if we need lands. Genesis Hydra, I guess, does in fact pair with Roaring Primodox. It's an interesting deck. I think it's on the weaker end just because we are extremely short on removal and we're not aggressive, so it's going to be interesting. I would have liked one Hunt the Week to kind of go with our Hornet Nest, but I guess technically I can Blastfire Bolt my own Hornet Nest and get 5 dudes at instant speed, so that's something. That's certainly not bad. Or even Inferno Fist him at instant speed and get a couple Death Touch flyers. Yeah, I guess that works. Alright, let's separate non-creatures out. Let me set this aside just for now so I don't screw up my count. Yeah, I think we want to do 17 lands since we're 3 color. I'm going to do 1 Plains, Evolving Wilds, and then between that and the Verdant Haven we should be good for splashing a Johnny. And then he could actually be pretty good in here, I guess, given any of our fatties. +1/+1. First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink is pretty insane. But pumping our whole team could be really good too. We've got a pretty good spread of 1- and 2-drop creatures. Didn't end up with much for Convoke at all, as a matter of fact, but that's okay. I think this is fine. We've got our finishers, so we actually have a game plan that I think is okay. This guy should really be up like here or even up here. Yeah, this deck's fine. Main shortcomings, low on removal. Main upsides, we've got some cool, got a cool thing to try out. But yeah, I don't think this deck is particularly good. I'd rate it fairly low. It's probably about 5 out of 10 maybe, 5.5 out of 10, something like that. Pretty low. It's alright. Let's do our 1 Plains, and then it looks like we want to do more green than red. But we need some red for sure. I don't want to do an 8-8 split, I think. I'm not really on board with that as much. I'd almost rather do the 9-7-1, I think. Mostly because if I can get green, I can play Verdant Haven and then Wayfinder, and both of them should help me find my red. But if you think about it, with the Evolving Wilds, I'll have 10 sources of green, 8 sources of red, and 2 sources of white just in my mana base, so it seems appropriate. I kind of see why they want to do the 8-8 split. I mean, I guess I do understand. All of our red stuff is the cheap stuff, which is kind of awkward, definitely. Well, maybe I take their suggestion then. All right. I guess I'll go with their word. They said 8-8. I guess I do, because the... Oh, no, that's not right. Let's take out the mountain that we just put in because we need our evolving wilds. So, all right, now it's fine. So we've got, what, 8 sources of green, 7 sources of red, 1 white, and evolving wilds. Yeah, I think this is the mana base we're going to go with. Overall, this deck, yeah, 5 or 5.5 out of 10. That's about it. Can't say much more than that. Wish it was a little bit better, but that's all right. We'll play it like this, see how it does. Sometimes mediocre decks get there. We'll see you round 1. Alternatively, I was just thinking I can maybe cut the Miner's Bane and bring in the Broodkeeper, because I do actually have the Inferno Fist, I guess, for it, but it's not much. I don't want to bring in Hammer Hands to this deck. I really am not feeling them here. It just doesn't feel like this is the right deck for it. But whatever. I'll play a Broodkeeper over a Miner's Bane since we have the Inferno Fist. There's a chance, you know, I could make that work. And 2/3s are usually fine in a format, so it seems okay. All right.